going on, guys? Let's do a quick update on the E30. I'm trying to get this thing ready for our next track day. Got it strapped to the dyno. We're going to be doing some tuning today, but I've made some progress on the car. I figure we'll talk about it. If you take a look at the front here, I've pretty much I took everything off. The gas struts on this bumper were kind of not working, so the bumper would move around. I compressed them completely and welded them so they won't move anymore. And then for you BMW guys out there, on the front bumper, all of this is brackets on the inside of the bumper. I wanted this bumper as far back as I could get it. What I did is these bolts are from the original bracket for the bumper from the shocks. I removed all of this material. There's one here and one there. Once you cut this portion, this stuff, you can just hammer a screwdriver behind it and the welds will break and you can pull it right out. And then these holes will line up on both sides so you can locate where the bumper is supposed to be. And then there's a piece of metal that runs between the two. And I simply drilled it and welded a nut to the back side and bolted in place. And this nut on the outside captures the bumper on either side. This allowed me to move the bumper back a substantial amount. It moved it back so far actually that the lower valance, which is made out of sheet metal, was officially in the way. So I removed it. Now this is a track day only car, so what I'll be doing is I'll be taking, that valance was really damaged, which is what started all of this. I couldn't appropriately fix it. So I'm going to take and cut the top of that valance off just to give some support to the bottom here and fill this gap. And then basically from the top of this bumper down to my splitter, I'm going to build an air dam. I really didn't like the look of the air dam. This bumper stuck out so far that a 7-inch air dam, the bumper was basically even with it. And so with this pushed all the way back, a 7-inch air dam sticks out 5 inches. Looks significantly better. I'll give you another update when I get the splitter ready to go and start getting that done. And hopefully I get it done because I have a track day in 2 weeks. I did the same to the rear bumper. It's a very similar process, except it does not have this on the inside of it. But once you compress the shocks, it moves in about 3.5 inches and it looks significantly better. All right, besides that, lots of engine management changes. Long tube headers have gone on, full exhaust, EGTs, and we're going to dive into that in a little bit. All right, here in the engine compartment, besides a complete cleanup and, painted the intake, valve cover. I actually ended up having to RTV both sides of the gasket on the valve cover. I don't understand, BMWs just want to leak oil. If you take a look down there, you'll see the long tube header, and we have some EGTs. Eventually here, I'm going to change this out to we're going to do a max spark kit for this vehicle. Debating on exactly how to do that. I'm probably just going to do it the way I like it, and we'll see what happens with it. This vehicle for the last year has been tracked with Mass Air. So I actually have some dyno numbers from Mass Air. We're going to switch it over to speed density and see how they line up. Kind of go from there. We're also testing some new products. So today I'll have some EGT numbers on screen. We won't be doing anything with that information yet today. I am also testing our new AMP-EFI wideband O2s. All signs point to good on those, so hopefully we'll have that released here shortly. So today what we're going to do is convert the tune in this from mass airflow to speed density. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to take values from our previous dyno run, and I'm going to use that to use the auto table creation in the software here. Now what that's going to do is that's going to create a VE table for me for that speed density tune. And we're going to see how close that is. Generally speaking, it does pretty well. I'm also going to use a series of best guess based on other vehicles that I've tuned. Let's take a look at the dyno real quick. So this dotted purple line here, this was the previously done tune before. This was with the stock exhaust. The red line is with the header and open exhaust placed, and I was actually doing some EGT testing on the vehicle So I was able to use that data to work through optimization. So essentially, the red line are the numbers to beat today. Now, some things to note is significant increase in torque between 3,500 and 3,000. Of course, the cam dictates what the torque curve is going to look like. We can see the exhaust allowed the engine to breathe more, and so it made more torque everywhere. Delta increase of about 7 foot-pounds of torque and about 5 horsepower on this run. Something to note here is up in this upper RPM, I was able to really carry that power out. The only reason why I stopped the pull is because, well, these E30s don't do well with high RPM, and this does have non-shot peened rockers. What happens if you run in the valve float or you bounce it off the limiter too hard, these tend to break the stock rocker arms, and I don't want to have that as a problem before my next track day. So what we're going to do is I'm going to leave the rev limiter settings exactly as they are in the tune now, and we're going to convert it to speed density and see how we do today. Let's talk about converting the tune over. The first thing we're going to need to do to convert this tune from mass air to speed density, basic load settings, engine and sequential. Right here under control algorithm, I'm going to change it from MAF to speed density. Now, my fuel table was previously set up as a blend table for my mass air. So that's why it's got all 100s. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Tools and use the VE table generator here. Now it's going to ask me some very basic questions. This engine is naturally aspirated. It has roughly an 850 RPM idle speed at around 45 kPa. The engine red line, I'm going to set at 6,500. Now, peak power here. It made a peak horsepower of 142. I'm going to use 143 and just round up. Now, RPM. It did that at 5,385. I'm just going to use 5,400 for nice even numbers. It made 146 foot-pounds. And that RPM is 4,060. I'm going to use 4,100. Now, the map is going to be a little lower than 100 kPa. I'm going to leave it at 100 kPa because it was somewhere between 100 and 95. Stock manifold, really the stock manifold breathes very well on this engine for what it is. And now our engine displacement. If you're not sure exactly what your engine displacement is, this is a 2.5 liter. What you can do is go to basic load settings, engine sequential, and it will be in your required fuel if this is a base tune. This is 2,501 cubic centimeters. I'm going to input that information. And I do not want it to generate my X and Y bins. So I'm going to say use existing X and Y bins here. Otherwise, what it will do is it will generate your table. It will generate it with RPM and load axis bins. And I'm going to hit generate. And you get to see what the table looks like before you apply it to VE Table 1. I'm going to go ahead and hit apply. And this is the table that it generated for me. All right, now that we have that done, let's load it into the car and see how close it is.